which we call the Twilight Zone.
See it occur, and you look at Steph and Clay, and even Draymond with his lack of.
Is it 2 in a row? 7 points for him. The twirling Johnson. Melting into the defense. The front carry. Strikes. Swing, fly ball. Well hit left center. Ronald Acuna has home rookie rushing record for the Steelers.
Look, he came into this game averaging 3.67 yards per carry. 42nd out of 49 qualified rushers.
Freeze to begin the third quarter. It has been incredible. Here he comes again. Oh, goodness. And a Greek basketball god. And he was a great guy to teach
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Ring 'em Up, presented by Rally Towel Sports. I am Todd. With me tonight is my A1 Day One, Sir Bobby Lehman. Bobby, how you doing?
Yeah. Well, we're in the building. We're feeling great. We're gonna talk some baseball. I'm good, man. I couldn't ask to be better.
Everything is right in the world. Things are coming together. The stars are aligning. We are officially 7 days away from Cincinnati Reds opening day baseball. I don't know how you feel right now, but I kind of have the week prior jitters because I still have this there's a small part of me that's like, oh, they could do it. Everybody's talking shit about them. Like, they're going to win opening day. Shit's going to be electric. And then I'm going to just get my heart broken. I can just,
I just want to know where this location is on your body so I can extract it and then try to bottle it and muster it up for myself. Cause I don't feel that way.
Really?
I just don't feel like they did enough this offseason to give us a shot. I mean, I know we got a lot of young talent coming up, but I'm just not feeling it, man. Like, I feel like this is going to be a decent. I'm trying not to get my hopes up. I'm trying to change the narrative for my emotions this year.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, we talked about it last week. We just talked about all the buildup that always happens right before the All-Star break, and then the demise exists. And you just kind of, you get left with this feeling of empty, right? Like, it's a very empty feeling to be a Reds fan after the All-Star break, because you kind of know what's happening because of, I don't know, let's say the first 10 games after the All-Star break last year going 2-8, and you're like, this is it. We're back again. So the year before I think it was like 4-6, and you're like, all right, well, they could do this. And then they go into Chicago, who's struggling, and get swept. And you're like, all right, well, same old shit, different day, or different year, I guess you should say, in that circumstance. But man, I'm just happy that we can get on here every week and talk about the sport that, matters the most in the spring and the summer, and, talk about good stuff, right? I mean, tonight we're covering the end of what I would describe as the best World Baseball Classic since its inception. Yeah. I mean, we'll get into more of that. I have a couple questions for you. I want to ask you about it too. Yeah. And then we're going to get into, we picked our 5 favorite prospects this morning. We did a little deep dive, and we're going to talk about them a little bit. I'm excited to hear who you picked. I obviously probably sent you my list pretty early. I've been pretty excited about this one. I've been following.
He said it to me at 11:37 this morning. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna deep dive into prospects tonight. Here's my 5 guys. You pick yours."
Yeah, could have done a draft or something for that, but hey, I figured for the sake of research, try to give you a few minutes to, get yourself up and running and feeling good. But dude, before we get into this, before we get into the World Baseball Classic, let's talk about the fucking food menu at Great American Ballpark this upcoming season.
I have not looked at it yet. Please enlighten
me. Oh, dude, you ready for this? I sent it in our I sent it in the messenger chat last night.
I was not watching that last night.
So no more Frisch's. So recipes to Frisch's at Great American Ballpark. Yep. The substitution is Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not mad at it.
So still no Chick-fil-A on Sunday games though. So you got to take that into consideration.
Bring Frisch's back.
Yeah, I mean that's they do it at Mercedes-Benz Stadium down in Atlanta too. On Sundays, there's a Chick-fil-A booth, and they don't serve it.
Can you
So
imagine how long that line's? It's gonna be probably $18 for a 10-piece nugget.
I don't know pricing. I think that's the thing. I gotta wait until after opening day because I know there's gonna be some really really crazy reactions to what these prices are going to look like, because there's some heavy hitters coming in here, Bob. There's some food I know that I'm excited about, so I think you'll be excited about it as well. So,
well, I'm curious to know the menu that Chick-fil-A is going to bring in there, because obviously every restaurant that comes, so they actually put out the menu too.
Mm-hmm.
Can I
guess? The
guess?
menu is announced. Yeah, hit me.
Okay, how many items are there roughly? I would say maybe 10.
Opening day will be like a soft opening, and then when you get into May, that's when the full opening will will exist.
They're going to have both sandwiches, the spicy and the regular chicken sandwich.
That's correct.
Has to be there, and obviously the regular and the deluxe format.
No.
Oh, so no deluxe, just regular.
No deluxe, just regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. I think it's better without all the extra pizzazz anyway.
The accoutrement.
The accoutrement. Obviously they're gonna have nugs. Mac and cheese, maybe.
Dude, no nugs.
They're not gonna have nuggets in the stadium.
No nuggets.
I mean, I'm not like I'm gonna go.
I'm just playing with you, bro. I'm just playing with you. There's gonna be nuggets.
Okay,
I know that's your shit. That's what I just
like
wanted.
If they don't have nugs in there, like they're gonna have to have the fried and the grilled nuggets. Like they gotta have both. You can't not have those.
It's just the fried nuggets, though.
Just the fried ones. Okay, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. The grilled ones are kind of blah anyway.
Yeah, you gotta. The trick, at least the trick that I've learned in order to ingest the grilled nuggets, is you get a little buffalo sauce, pour that in there, give it a little shaky. That's good to go. It's like and then I'll also toss in some waffle fries into there, a little shaky, throw a little ranch on top. It's like buffalo chicken.
Have you seen this thing
fries
that's going around TikTok where it's a Chick-fil-A, kind of like you put it in a big bowl. It's the waffle fries, mac and cheese, the chicken nuggets, 2 things of buffalo, 2 things of ranch, and 2 things of Chick-fil-A, and you shake it.
Ooh.
And it's supposed to be unbelievably good.
I'll have to try that. It sounds enticing.
I'll send you the video.
Thank you. Yeah, so opening day, or for the first month of baseball season, is just going to be classic chicken sandwich, the waffle potato chips, not the fries, to start, and then the chocolate fudge brownie. I would argue that the waffle potato chips are better than the actual fries themselves.
I've never had the waffle chips.
They're consistently, I mean, like it's a bagged product, so it's the same every time. You occasionally catch Chick-fil-A on a bad day where those fries are undercooked. Waffle fries useless to me at that point. You're just serving me mashed potatoes, right?
Yeah, so, when they're soggy, that's tough. It's tough. You got to put a lot of Chick-fil-A sauce on there to help out.
Yep. So that's Chick-fil-A. And then, like I said, coming in May, it'll be nugs, spicy sandwich, regular waffle fries, all that good stuff. They're gonna have various burgers set up, new burgers set up throughout the stadium. So they're introducing a new burger menu, which I think will be interesting. They're gonna have a new soft serve that has fruit punch Kool-Aid flavoring in it.
Is this still Chick-fil-A?
No. This is just Great American as a whole. Okay. This is Great American as a whole. Sorry, I should have.
I was like, holy shit.
Sorry, I should have moved forward.
What's up,
but yeah,
Ryan?
so they're going to have several new burgers. I'm excited about that. I think that's a good thing, that getting the menu a little bit more eclectic. This one might excite you. I'm going to get a raw reaction here. Skyline chili nachos.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Tortilla chips, Skyline chili, nacho cheese sauce, and Skyline cheddar on top.
Wow.
You know, here's the thing is I read this last night and I was thinking, like, why have I never done that before? Why has it never been a thing I've made?
You know, there's always a first for everything.
Dude.
You know what I was thinking about too when I was doing that little segment for that thing that we did. I thought about getting a bag of Grippos and crushing it up and like sprinkling it on top of the coney just as a little drizzle.
Whoa.
I thought about peppering that in there, and I was like, this might be too much. We got to focus on the content of this video and not the food.
Holy
but
shit,
I thought
dude.
about it.
Whoa.
We're gonna have to try it.
That's very interesting.
You have with the little Skyline hot sauce on top.
Yeah, dude. I'm thinking extreme cheese, little Grippos, some hot. You just it's a whole new world. It's a little,
we don't smoke enough weed. Well, that's about right.
Definitely not anymore. There's going to be Buffalo Wings and Rings is going to be in there, so that'll be it. You don't like Buffalo Wings and Rings?
Oh, Wings and Rings, not B-dubs.
No, yeah, Wings and Rings. The good one.
Two thumbs up.
Yeah. So they're going to have the classic buffalo chicken nachos from Buffalo Wings and Rings, which I don't know if you've had those before, but those are like
I have.
There's tiers of nachos, right? When you go out to a restaurant, you get like your base level nacho from like insert any Mexican restaurant here, and you're like, all right, this satisfies my itch. The buffalo chicken nachos at Wings and Rings puts me in a different level. When I get done eating that, I've just ingested probably 10 times the amount of sodium that I should for, 3 days. But I'm in a state of euphoria because I've at least had 3 beers to get through all that saltiness.
Yeah.
So I got a little buzz going. I got a little nacho in. I got a lot of nacho in me.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are the Parmesan garlic aioli fries on that menu?
It says 2. So this is what they're starting with, and then they're going to add more during the season. So these are just the usual. Carb said it's my dinner, nachos and beers. Look, I'm not arguing that that's not a good choice for dinner. I'm just saying that maybe it's a little salty. That's all I'm saying. And I pass no judgment. I've had a lot worse. I've eaten a lot worse in a meal. Bobby can attest to that. 50 West is also going to be introduced. They're going to have a restaurant that's going to have all their beers and a food menu item. There's a new beverage brand called Blocks, BLOX. That's going to be like boozy slushies and seltzers, and for the ladies and for maybe some of the younger gentlemen that are going to be enjoying the game themselves. And
then maybe for me, if I just kind of want to see if it's good.
I think so. Something I read was that these boozy slushies are not new to Great American. They've had them before, but they're like $15 or $16, and they're like a 10-ounce cup or something ridiculous.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, I might as well. Here's the thing: if I'm going to do that, I'm just going to go to Holy Grail or Tin Roof before, take like 3 shots, and then I'll just walk in. Because at least then I'm paying the same price.
True.
Bro, I wish I could go to the opening day parade. I got to take some personal time later on in the summer, and I got to save it up a little bit. Otherwise, I really did. I've talked about it with Mary for the last couple of years trying to get down there, but this year just didn't work out. We got a family vacation coming up in July. I need like 11 days off for that.
Oh,
so yeah, I gotta save that time up. But yeah,
maybe we can plan a little Rally Towel Sports opening day next year.
Dude, that'd be so dope. Be so dope. But yeah, dude, looks food menu looks better. Obviously, they'll still have the staples there. They're gonna have, I don't know, where do you stand on Geta in general?
I'm gonna be honest, I've had it once and it was a long ass time ago.
Dude, I'm pro Geta. It's my favorite breakfast meat. It's not really even it's a mash. It's like a corned beef sausage mash with grain, but they got these Geta pretzel bites that they're going to be throwing out this year with queso on top of them. So
I would fuck that up.
Carp, it's fine. Carp. So Geta is one of those things that you either love it or hate it. It's very similar to like Skyline and all that stuff. Like you're either 110% in on it or you're completely out on it. And I grew up eating it, so that's probably why I'm in on it.
Well, I would be down to try it.
Oh, it's delicious. All right, man. So so we're going to talk about the World Baseball Classic a little bit.
Me too, Ryan.
It's true. See, I'm not a texture guy. I will literally eat a whole container of cottage cheese and not even think about it. I mean, I'm talking not like the little. I'm talking like the 32 ounce.
I've seen it.
I'll put it down. Yeah, I'll put it down. I don't care about texture. I'm worried about two things. I'm worried about calories, and I'm worried about like how much protein's in it at this point in my life. If it doesn't meet those two criteria, I don't eat it anymore. That's kind of where I stand now. So if I need 60 grams of protein,
you got to have that third caveat, which is flavor.
Unless I'm going out to eat, I don't really care about that anymore, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I eat like bland ass chicken or anything, but like I don't need. I used to douse everything in sauce. I've cut back on it in the last couple months, trying to reel that back in. But that does not mean that when I go to Taco Bell that I don't get 2 chicken quesadillas, a cheesy gordita crunch, and then probably 6 other items, and then cover it all in that sauce that they put in the quesadillas. Because I do that. Yeah. I still do that. Sauce? Yeah, that's unbelievable. Baja sauce. Thank you. I couldn't think of it. For sure. But all right, World Baseball Classic. Obviously, Japan winning in probably the most dramatic fashion that I think that game could have ended.
Epic.
With that at bat of Shohei Ohtani facing off against Mike Trout. And I want to get what was your reaction? So I don't know if you watched it in real time or not. I did not. I literally could not keep my eyes open after 9:30 on Monday or Tuesday. What was your reaction to that at bat?
So I did not watch it in real time either. I had to catch it after the fact. I as well have been trying to do better and change my sleep schedule, and be good. So I went to bed. But going back and watching it, man, like even though I already knew what was going to happen, I still had chills watching it because like you can't write that. You cannot dream up that type of a scenario that actually happens in real life without any, predispositions or structure. Like it's unbelievable that it happened. It's unbelievable that it was those two guys. And I've read a ton, about, both of them and what they've said about each other after the fact. They have nothing but the ultimate respect for one another. Right. It's the best versus the best in that scenario. It was great to see a healthy Mike Trout for the first time in a long time.
He crushed in the World Baseball Classic.
He played so well the entire time, and really drove home the lineup that I had put together a week or two ago with having Mike Trout in center, which made me feel good. Number one, but number two, it made me feel good for him because he hasn't really put together that long of a stretch in quite some time, and for it to come down to him and Shohei, God, man, that dude he just brought the heat, and then everybody thought that last pitch, 3-2 count, fastball, and he hits him with the off speed, the slider that just fucking kept running, and it was his ball game. It was over. Like even Trout, as soon as he swung, he was like, "Fuck!" Like, yep, because he knew it, dude.
Yeah, I'm literally I'm covered in goosebumps right now because the emotion that I mean, I don't know, obviously I'm a pretty sensitive guy in general, but I was so overwhelmed with emotion watching that at bat because there's a certain amount of times in your lifetime where you get to watch two of the best people doing what they do best, play their sport and do the thing that they do best, face off against each other. Because I'm sure we'll see it in the future. I assume Shohei Ohtani is not going to continue being on the Angels, but this is the first time we got to watch Shohei Ohtani pitch against Mike Trout, right? That's such an important moment
in a position that mattered.
Yeah. So not only that, it's important because it brings arguably the best player of the decade with the best player of the future of the game together. And this is two Titans going against each other in this at bat. I mean, these are the guys that do it the best within their sport. And to watch how hard they both fought, dude, I was like, almost in tears watching him, dude.
My whole body has goosebumps, man. Like,
it makes me feel like it. That's the kind of thing that makes me appreciate the sport, right? Is that you watch two guys who do it so well, and a guy like Mike Trout who's done it well for a decade, right? Because this dude's been playing professional baseball. This is his 11th year that he's been on the Angels, and Shohei Ohtani is cracking into like year 5. Like that dude still has another 5 to 10 years of playing the game. And I don't know what his timeline is on pitching. You know, like I obviously think that his career is being the power hitter that he is, but it's just such a special moment to watch a guy that exceeded my expectations in Shohei. I mean, he really truly did. And watch the guy that I think is really one of the only people in our timeline that of this timeline of baseball that has already kind of solidified their spot in Cooperstown. You know, like that, you just don't get that moment. And I think that I just felt very first of all, thankful that I got to watch, you know, our country play for an international title. And the fact that, I mean, Carp said it in the chat too, 97% of TVs were on, 97.4% of TVs were on in Japan watching that moment.
Yeah, I dropped that stat on Aaron last night, and he had no idea his jaw was on the floor. Like my jaw was on the floor when I read it.
It's insane, bro. If you're telling me that baseball doesn't matter, you're wrong. Yeah. It matters, and baseball is very important in Japan. Kids literally spend their entire time in school, depending on your level of talent, developing to be a professional baseball player. It is the most important sport that they have there, and for them to win the World Baseball Classic in the fashion that they did, like unreal, bro, unreal. I think
beating the USA. I mean, I couldn't imagine
unbelievable.
They wanted to beat more.
No, and Japan played great. Really, they played their worst game against China, and I mean, they left like 17 runners on base in that game. An insane stat. I mean, they couldn't
against Mexico was unbelievable.
Right, they play Mexico, they come back and beat them. And then you go and you play the United States, and came down from. I mean, Trey Turner hit that home run in the first inning. I was like, oh shit, it's over. Like the U.S. is gonna land it on him, and that young pitcher that Japan threw, kudos to him, dude, settled in. The reliever after him settled in, and then Shohei came in, and like, if you thought that his fastball splitter combination was dangerous, if he's gonna start throwing that slider, I don't know how. I don't know how he doesn't. If he pitches 150 innings, I don't know how he doesn't have 175 strikeouts. Seriously, I mean, it was a fucking saucer, bro. It went from the letters of Trout's jersey to the outside of the plate when he swung the bat.
It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
The late movement on that pitch is unreal, and obviously emotions are high. And I've loved hearing all these guys talking about playing for their country. I mean, you've heard a lot of guys from the United States talk about it. Randy Arozarena playing for Mexico is a really cool story. I could share that when we get done kind of talking about this. But
yeah, that was a cool one.
But these guys from Japan and Carp said it. This is Shohei Ohtani takes a lot of pride in being the best from his nation and leading his nation. His pregame speech to the players
if that doesn't get you rock solid, I don't know what it does.
I mean, it was all built around gratitude to get to be where they are. And I think that if you can take that mentality into anything you do professionally, personally, like you're going to crush, right? Because like, and if you hear somebody say that to you, like, we get the opportunity to do this thing, we need to be grateful that we get this opportunity to be amongst these guys playing for our country. And if you don't understand that, then what are you doing here? Like, it shows me his just like general leadership too, because I think that gets lost in translation a lot for these international guys, specifically the Asian born players, that they're not always perceived as leaders. And I think Ohtani really has that. He has that tangible. I think you see him on the mound too, just his ability to take over. Like he is an absolute leader. And I loved it. This is the first time I've really followed the World Baseball Classic beginning to end very closely. And I had a lot of fun doing it, man. I had a lot of fun. Like the Czech Republic story is fucking awesome. Doctors, engineers, playing internationally against the best, some of the best players in the world. Like we're not going to ever see 98% of that roster ever again.
No.
Right. So opportunity just to get to see them and watch, even like Australia and, all these different nations. I mean, watching that US Venezuela game and Trey Turner hitting that fucking grand slam, like, oh my God, dude. Like, I think that since baseball is no longer an Olympic sport, this is our opportunity as baseball fans to have something where we feel pride in our country too. And especially at a time where there's, I'm not going to get super political, but where people are having a hard time finding pride within their nation. Like, this is a really cool moment for me to like cheer on the country and feel like it matters towards something.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that the baseball leaving the Olympics is the best thing to happen to it. We would not have the World Baseball Classic if that didn't happen. The entire reason it was created was because baseball was decommissioned from the Olympics, which good for it, because in 4 years from now, that is going to be one of the most lit things you'll watch, and it's going to continue to be a great thing that we watch every 4 years, and I'm looking forward to it. J-Rob, you're absolutely right, man. We had just finished up talking about it, man. It's one of the craziest things we've ever watched, and to watch two of the best go at it at their peak. I would say Trout's more so on the downturn, but I think this is the last little ounce of his peak that we got, and man, was it good.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to say about Ohtani in that speech was, didn't he say something along the lines of, these are guys we've looked up to and admired, but we can't admire them today because you can't admire somebody you're about to go beat. Like, we got to beat these guys and get above them. Like that, dude, that's like something you see out of a movie, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and if you can't, how do you not get behind a dude like that? You know what I mean? Like, it's impossible. So, yeah, great. I mean, World Baseball Classic was exceptional. It definitely relit the baseball fire in me for sure. I'm very thankful that I got the opportunity to watch. I end up watching 11 different countries through all of this. So I think that's a thing that I really appreciate. And I'm sad I got to wait a few years to get it back again. But yeah, it was great. And Randy Arozarena's story, if for anybody that doesn't know, so he's born in Cuba, of Cuban descent, defected to Mexico a year ago. And a few years ago, prior to him getting into Major League Baseball. He was playing in Cuba for $4 a week.
Wow.
$28. It ended up being about $28 a month when he was playing professional baseball in Cuba, when it was all said and done in his career. And he defected to Mexico, and he begged to become a Mexican citizen, to obviously, no longer be defective and claim citizenship within the nation. And the president of Mexico, after reaching out to a U.S. ambassador, a U.S. ambassador, because he had spoken about it several times in interviews too. He became a legal citizen of Mexico this past off season, and he got to represent Mexico in the World Baseball Classic. And that dude's electric too. I'm on the fence about him in terms of what he is as a professional baseball player, because I think he lacks a lot of the consistency to be what he says he is as a player. But I mean, he had a crazy World Baseball Classic too. He had monster home runs, had a couple great catches. The dude has a very similar to Yoenis Cespedes style arm. The dude can just throw from anywhere in the outfield and get it to home plate and on the fly. It's just crazy. But yeah, love the World Baseball Classic. I'm super thankful that we, even got the opportunity to talk about it on this. Before it was just like me and you just chucking it up over it and talking about it. But the opportunity to have this and give me, more of a reason to sit down and watch and understand it more, it was really cool.
Absolutely. Ton of fun to watch. Glad it happened. Sad it's over, but glad it happened. That's what I said last night. And Aaron was like, man, it sounds like a high school breakup.
As we go on, we remember. All right. So World Baseball Classic, obviously great, but so Bobby and I decided, we talked about it a little bit. We're going to talk about some prospects, y'all. We're going to talk about, we put together our top 5 list of the guys that we're most looking forward to watching either this year at some point in time or in the very near future. Bobby, I'll let you take it off with your first selection.
First selection. I want to start with this guy. He's currently in Double-A for the Marlins. He is a towering individual. Right-handed pitcher, Yuri Perez, standing at 6'8".
Big boy. Yeah.
This guy is a monster. He's 6'8". His fastball consistently, deep into games can stay at the 94 to 97 range. And a pitch that he developed over this last season was a slider. And it's disgusting. So just imagine being 6'8" and being that close to the plate and still having a slider. It's like a new age Randy Johnson. I don't know if he'll be able to touch the speeds there, but man, he's got the build for it.
Dude, that was Randy Johnson's bread and butter. Get that 95 to 98 mile an hour fastball, and then he'd throw that big lateral slider that get it on the hands of a righty, and you think you're swinging at 100 mile an hour fastball, and it hits you in the dick. But
right,
dude, love it, love them. I think the Marlins have, between him and Sixto, they have 2 of the better younger pitching prospects that have some of the higher ceilings, but also have incredibly low floors. Both of those guys have both struggled with injury, a lot of control issues for Perez specifically. I think some of that just comes with size, getting acclimated to your body. He's a pretty young dude too, right? He's in his 19, 20.
He's not even 20 yet.
Yeah. So you give that guy a couple years, I think, especially in an opportunity where he can be, Miami does a good job of developing talent. That's something that they've done very well over the last decade. A lot of other teams have benefited from it, unfortunately, but that's a guy that
if you don't see him late this year, you'll see him probably mid-season next year.
Yeah, I think he's probably a 2024 trajectory guy. I could see him getting a September start, especially because I'm assuming the Marlins will be dead last in that NL East anyway.
Right.
But I'm going to stay in the East, but I'm going to go to the American League side.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about Mr. Taj Bradley, the number 1 pitching prospect, number 1 overall prospect for the Tampa Bay Rays. Another young guy he was a 5th-round pick out of high school for Tampa Bay in the 2018. Actually, he was a part of the Rule 5 draft deal there. Monster fastball. He's not a big guy. They list him at 6'2", but his perfect game listing in high school was 5'11". So he's either grown 3 inches since he's gotten into the organization, or maybe a little bit of fabrication there. He doesn't look quite that big. Monster fastball with a really high over the top arm release. Gets anywhere from 94 to 97 there. And he has an interesting cutter, so that his cutter is actually a lateral cutter that comes in the low 90s. So that high over the top arm slot with a lateral cutter is a kind of a unique 1-2 combo. That's really his bread and butter. He really struggled out of the gate for Tampa Bay. Had a ton of control issues. Basically, averaged 5 walks per 9 innings. Was at one point in time in his second season got up to 9 walks. That was his average. So. But yeah, so COVID year happened. Obviously, minor league baseball didn't happen. Came back in 2021. Got that from 4. I believe that he finished 2019 at 4.7 walks per 9. Came back in 2021. Got that down to a little bit over 3 walks per 9, and actually got it below 3 walks per 9 in 2022. So working through those command issues, that was really important for him. I think the big thing for him, man, is he comps a lot to Logan Gilbert from the Mariners with that unique arm slot. You don't see a lot of guys go over the top anymore, especially now that there's a lot of science behind not being an over the top pitcher anymore. But I think we actually will probably see Taj Bradley day one for Tampa Bay. I think he's going to be a middle of the rotation guy for them this year, and then you'll see him pitching right behind McClanahan next year. So super excited for him.
Yeah, I mean they've got a lot of young pitching talent down there, and like the Marlins, the Rays do a excellent job of just getting the best out of every single person they bring up, man. That's why you get to see them, take it so deep with these rosters that are getting paid very little.
Yep. Yeah, great farm system in there.
Yeah, it's something that the Reds miss, and obviously getting rid of Kyle doesn't help. But anyways, or at least him leaving. But next on my list, it's this. I think the number one projected prospect of this year is Gunnar Henderson. I think he had to be on the list. Yeah, I saw he wasn't on yours, and I'm like, he at least deserves to be in this conversation. He's going to be a talent. Came up into last season. He played 35 games. Hit mid 200s. Showed some good control at the plate. Kid's got a hell of an arm. Plays third base. You got to have a cannon to play third. I saw it was an old school picture of a baseball field that was over top of a football field. That's like just give you some perspective about how long that throw from third to first is.
Yep.
And it's like 45 yards, 50 yards.
Yeah.
And it's a big throw to throw somebody out that's running just 90 feet. So, which is less than the 40, by the way, for those of us playing along. And most people can cover that in less than 4 seconds, and that's 40 yards.
Yeah.
So, but no, the O's have a lot of young talent this year. I'm excited to just watch them in general. This will be a kid for you guys to watch moving forward, and you will most likely hear his name in the Rookie of the Year conversation, some highlights, and probably all over ESPN at some point or another this season.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love Gunnar. I love his swing, dude. He's got such an old school approach to hitting, especially with the quantity of power he has. I love watching that dude hit. I'm excited to watch him. I'm scared that he's going to end up in pinstripes here soon.
Phillies or Phillies?
No, the Yankees. The Yankees. Shit, both, dude. Who knows? But I love him, dude. I think that he's deservedly the top prospect in baseball. He works really hard. He's got everything. You look at him, he is almost perfect. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a stud, man. He's a stud.
Yeah. So I'll stay in Baltimore, and I'll go to the pitching side. I'm going to talk about Mr. Grayson Rodriguez, and this is the one guy Bobby and I talked about before the podcast. Like, I saw you got Grayson, bro. It's a smart move. Big dude, big boy, 6'5",
just baller.
Yeah, 6'5", 240. I saw a stat where he says that he could squat almost 600 pounds. So obviously has the build, just the general build, ton of power. 97 plus fastball, touched 103 in a game last year in the fifth inning, excuse me. He's the best pitching prospect in baseball. I don't know if there's much of an argument there. In any list that you look at, no matter who's putting it together, he's the top pitching prospect. He has plus fastball. The dude throws a split finger changeup. So funny enough, that's Luis Castillo's changeup.
Ooh, that's dirty.
Luis Castillo made that. It's an out pitch again.
Right.
It had been a really long time for somebody to be able to throw. It's since Trevor Hoffman really who threw a similar changeup that was an out pitch for a pitcher. And you think about a starter who's going to throw anywhere from 150 to 195 innings. To have a changeup as an out pitch, that should create some durability, not putting as much pressure on your UCL. He has a slider curveball combo with only like an 8 to 9 mile an hour difference between the two. So I think that he'll struggle a little bit at the professional level with it has the same spin rate, kind of the same trajectory. So I think he'll struggle with that there, but he's also coupled that with a cutter that he developed this past off season. That's the new go-to pitch in baseball now is a cutter, because you can throw it in the low to mid 90s and it's got a different rotation. You can attack all three sides of the plate basically with a cutter, 4-seam and 2-seam fastball. The thing I like about him the most, or the stat that I like about Grayson Rodriguez the most is that he had a 36% strikeout rate last year. So that means more than – so just to put that in just general terms, more than one batter over the course of the entire season, every inning struck out against him.
That's ridiculous, man.
That's a big number, bro. I think I mean, again, I think he'll struggle at the final level to with that slider curveball. I think he's gonna. I mean, again, Luis Castillo's made a good career out of being a fastball changeup guy, so I don't think Grayson will struggle with that, but he's gonna probably have to pick one between the two. That's going to be his third attack pitch, and then that cutter will be a nice backup there. But yeah, Grayson Rodriguez, I think, could be in some Cy Young conversations in the next couple of years. I've seen a lot of people compare him to, which is crazy, are comparing him to like Garrett Cole, a Garrett Cole style pitcher in terms of the way that he attacks hitters. And Garrett Cole's a 200 strikeout guy a year. So look for this dude to be in that statistical category, but a little bit higher on the walk side. So I don't think we'll get as many innings out of Grayson Rodriguez as you do Garrett Cole.
A lot of good young pitching talent, and I'm not going to stray away from the position. But we're gonna be headed over to the West Coast. We're gonna be talking about Dodgers prospect Bobby Miller.
Ooh, Bobby Miller, that's a good one, man.
Well,
I mean, love that dude.
Obviously he has a great name. Number one, number two. I think the most impressive thing about this kid is two of the four pitches that are in his repertoire. He not only has a four seam that hits well in the triple digits, he also has a two seam that can hit triple digits, and then he has an off-speed changeup that sinks and fades away from the batter. I don't know how much more ridiculous it can get. With a pitch mix there. I mean, you've got two pitches coming out of the same arm slot that look the exact same. One comes straight at you, one runs away, or runs in, depending on which side of the plate you're on. Then you have a changeup that looks like the exact same pitch, but then sinks and runs away from you or into you. I am so happy that I was never able to be good enough to play baseball at that level, because that, one, sounds terrifying, and two, sounds impossible.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You think he's a starter? Or you think he ends up becoming a closer?
Well, I mean,
or do you think they start him as a closer and turn him into a rotational starter?
I think it's the latter there. I think he starts as a end of game guy. I think he's going to come up later this season and get some bullpen work. And then maybe next year they bring him into the starting rotation. But this year, I don't see him coming into the rotation in any way, shape, or form. He will be up this year at some point. He's in AAA already. He'll probably be a post All-Star break call up or a September call up, depending on where the Dodgers want to bring him in at. Obviously, the Dodgers have a very good shot being in the playoffs and in going deep. So this guy will be on the roster, headed into the playoffs. How early he comes up this year, I don't know, but he will be a bullpen guy. Next year, we'll see.
Dude, it's just so crazy. I'm looking at the Dodgers rotation just because I wanted to get a feel. So Walker Buehler will start the year on the IL, coming off of back surgery. Their rotation is Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias, who posted the best ERA in the National League last year, Noah Syndergaard, which I don't know what Noah Syndergaard is anymore. I think he's probably
depends on which one we're gonna get.
He's on the other side. Dustin May, who we could have talked about last year as being one of the top pitching prospects. I mean, he's 23. And then Tony Gonsolin, who didn't lose a game through like his first 16 starts last year, 17 started the year like 13-0. So it sucks because the Dodgers do this so effectively. They trade and maneuver around to get these guys that make sense for the rotation. And the thing that scares me about them is that Gonsolin, Dustin May, Bobby Miller, Urias, all those guys are under 25. That's scary.
That's very scary.
Yeah, so we'll see. Well, Gonsolin's a little bit older. I may be. Yeah, he's 28, but 4 of their 5 starters for next year will be under 25 to start the season.
That's terrifying.
That's a lot, dude. That's a lot.
It's a lot of youth, but a lot of talent.
Yeah, so kind of crazy just to think that that's where the Dodgers are heading, and then not to mention they're going to they have Boogie Betts and Freddie Freeman for the next 5 years too.
Betts had a really nice WBC as well.
He did. Yeah, it's unfortunate Freddie Freeman's going to start the year in the IL from the injury he sustained, but he'll come back and he'll be fine. But
he'll be all right.
All right, I'm going to talk about my National League Rookie of the Year here. Corbin Carroll of the Arizona Diamondbacks. I talked about him on our show a couple weeks ago. I think this guy actually has the ability to be a 30-30-30 guy. I do. I really do.
Wow.
The more video I watch of this guy, the more I just read about him and study him and understand him. He's the second fastest guy in the league. I mean, he has unbelievable speed. They comped him as an outfielder to Billy Hamilton in terms of speed and gloved him to Andrew McCutchen. And then compared him as a hitter to basically a prime Nolan Arenado from the other side of the plate in terms of power and contact.
Is he a switch hitter?
No, he's a left-handed hitter.
Oh.
Left-handed hitter has he has a really interesting approach. So I was watching video of him because I had read a little bit, and obviously there's some highlights of him last year. He actually came in for Arizona at the end of last year and kind of put it together. Unfortunately, the Diamondbacks were bad, so it was really just trial and error. But he has a really unique approach to the ball. He stands straight up for the majority of the at bat, and then as his load is not it's not a leg kick. He actually drops down to load, and it's almost like a spring, like a mattress spring, right?
Interesting.
So he's upright, spring down, spring up, hands through the ball. It's very unique. I don't know. There's a lot of guys that hit the ball that way. I mean, a lot of hitting coaches as they're teaching kids now are teaching them the leg kick or that's the timing thing is the
reminds me of like Alfonso
leg.
Soriano type deal.
Kind of, yeah. But imagine if Alfonso Soriano stood straight up and then crouched down and then loaded back. That's what Corbin Carroll does.
So there's just more movement in the pre-swing.
Yeah, because he bounces to the ball. It's interesting, but he showed a lot of opposite field power last year, which I think is, I mean,
something you don't see a lot of in the MLB.
No, does strike out a lot. I think he had 104 at bats last year, struck out 39 times. That's
just part of the game these days, man.
Yeah, I think other than one other guy I'm going to talk about, I think he's the best young. I don't know. Like I put two guys I'm talking about and Gunnar are kind of in the same position to me. I just think that these guys are probably Corbin and Gunnar are on the same time frame, but I think Corbin Carroll might be the best young player in baseball. Yeah, I'm sorry, second young best player in baseball. The first one I'm going to talk about after Corbin Carroll here, but this dude's got the stuff, and he's not big. He's not super muscular. He's just a pure. It's just baseball, right? Like he's just a baseball guy. So I could see him having some sustained success, not really getting into the injury bug too much. I'll knock on wood for him just because I said it. But I love Corbin Carroll, dude. I've been looking forward to watching this dude play. I mean, he spent most of the first 3 years after being drafted because he hurt his knee and then he tore his rotator cuff as soon as he got drafted. So we missed him for basically a year, right? Got drafted in 2019, then COVID happened, and then they eased him back in 2021 because they didn't want to rush his rehabilitation. And then he comes in last year in 2022 and just absolutely crushes minor league, goes from high A to the pros in one season. So he's got the stuff. Super talented.
No, absolutely. Well, this is a Reds podcast. No, maybe not a Reds podcast, but we are Reds fans here. So I would feel remiss if we didn't talk about one of the younger guys coming up through our system that we'll be able to see this year, and that's Ellie De La Cruz. Great young talent. He's had an interesting start to his spring training. Yeah, I mean, it's just things are gonna come. Time will tell. If he's gonna actually, live up to the hype. He's a switch hitting shortstop, third baseman. He's got a lot of arm strength. He's got a lot to work on still. And I'm interested to see how he develops over the course of the season. He's definitely going to get his reps in, and I would be remiss if we didn't at least throw one great young Reds prospect in there. So
yeah. I mean, top 10 prospect in baseball too, right? You're talking about a guy that went from Dayton to Chattanooga, and I believe in his first or second game in Chattanooga, he hit like a 540-foot home run, just an absolute monster moonshot.
He's got the juice.
He does, man. I think that I think adjusting to pitching will be where it's just like any young guy. He's 19. Like,
he's so young.
He's 20. Like, you gotta let the boy cook a little bit. And he's, what is he, 6'5"? I mean, he's a big guy too.
Yeah, 6'5", 235, just a unit.
Yeah, just a big guy. I think we'll end up seeing him play third base for the Reds. I think that's where he ends up.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, Novelli Marte is the better middle infielder, and Christian Encarnacion Strand's the worst of the three. So I don't think we'll see all three of them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we all see all three of them in a Reds uniform ever together, but except for maybe a small glimpse at September. But I love Ellie De La Cruz. I think that's a guy the Reds are actually going to try to hold on to and not move, because I think Cincinnati's excited to see him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that might be one of the things that gets me down to a game this year.
I agree. I'll drive down in August to go watch him play.
Absolutely. It's a date.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to talk about my top guy. This is my boy here. I don't like it that I'm saying that he's my top guy, because he's going to play in the NL Central. He's going to be a fucking menace in the NL Central. He's going to be a menace to professional baseball. Jordan Walker. Unbelievable talent, bro. 6'5". He's up to 245 pounds. First round pick out of high school for the Cardinals in the 2021 draft. Came in actually as an infielder, and they transitioned him to right field. Thought he was going to be maybe an opportunity with the glove. Spent all of last year working on being a better right fielder. Countless hours catching fly balls, making positional plays. There's not really a lot to say about the dude. I suggest anybody that's listening just pull up YouTube right now as you're listening to me and just pull up his highlight reel of him hitting. Everything that he does is exactly what a hitter should do from the right side of the plate. There's nothing about his approach that makes me nervous at any level. His hands remind me a lot of Barry Bonds' hands from the other side of the plate in terms of how quick he gets to the ball. His size is very similar to, like a prime Juan Gonzalez in terms of what he's going to be able to do in the outfield with power and speed. I mean, this is an MVP to me. This is the best prospect that the Cardinals have probably ever had. and I'm including Albert Pujols in that conversation. So I'm making a very big statement when I say that, but this guy could potentially be, or I feel that he could be a guy that ends up getting into the 600 home run mark and hitting a career 300 hitter. I eventually assume he transitions to first base as he gets a little bit older. I mean, shit, again, he just turned 21.
Right.
But unbelievable, like a true generational talent.
Yeah.
I actually look forward to him suiting up in the U.S. uniform for the next World Baseball Classic. I think he'll be kind of a centerpiece of it. I could even see him becoming a captain of that team, because I think that's how much of an impact I think he's going to have to baseball. And I hope, because he has such a great personality, I hope Major League Baseball latches onto him, and I hope they recognize what they have with this guy. I know St. Louis does. They're fucking chomping at the bit to get this dude to the pro level. Maybe we see him pretty early. I don't know if they want to give him the extra, $750,000 this year for service time, but I mean, at
the end of the day, it's going to be worth it regardless, because he's going to be here for a long time. So who gives a shit if you bring him up now or you bring him up later? You're still going to pay him anyway.
I know. Just a real talent. I'm really excited about him. I feel really uncomfortable being this excited about a Cardinals player, but I mean, you just got to give credit where credit's due.
Right. And, I think we can have some respect. We're getting older, we're maturing,
Yeah.
as adults, we're not going to kick somebody to the wayside out of spite anymore.
Right.
It's more so we just appreciate something awesome when we see it,
Right.
regardless of, who they're playing for. And, as much as it, pained us both over the last year and a half, 2 years to give Yachty his credits and all that, we did it.
We did it
because we appreciated something that will, the best catcher of our lifetime. And, this is obviously going to be another, perennial talent in the NL Central that is going to kill the Reds for the next, decade and a half. So,
yeah,
I just want to be horrible to watch, and I'm looking forward to every second of it.
I want to give you his hitting stat from last year for him, because I think that this is where this solidifies where I think he is as a hitter. His average exit velocity over 350 at bats was 91 mile an hour.
Okay.
His 90th percentile exit velocity, so 10% of the time when he's hitting, 108 miles an hour. He hit a baseball 114.4 miles an hour last year. This is a guy that is his first full year of playing Major League Baseball, whatever you want to call it. He's a professional baseball player. He was hitting the ball that hard and struck out less than 100 times.
Yeah, I mean,
a serious talent.
If you're not already terrified as a fan of somebody other than the Cardinals in the NL Central, then you need to be.
I'll be talking about him a lot during this baseball season, I'm sure. I'll be following.
It'll be exciting to watch. It'll be exciting to watch for sure. My last guy, somebody we're not going to see for a couple seasons. But the name, the name very well. But it's the second version of this name, and this is Drew Jones, baby.
I love it.
Drew Jones, drafted by the Diamondbacks. Expected to see him make his major league debut in about 3 years. That's the timetable for Mr. Drew Jones. Now, if you know it, he's basically an exact replica of his father.
And
if you're not excited for that, then I don't know if you're a baseball fan, because Andrew Jones was fucking amazing.
Can I just make a statement here? I'm gonna say this. I don't know I think I know where you stand on this. Why the fuck is Andrew Jones not in the Hall of Fame?
It's because the baseball writers of America are the worst fucking human beings on the planet.
What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for?
I don't know. The dude, the 10-time Gold Glover, the perennial All-Star.
He's a fucking Platinum Glover. If you get that award, you should get to Cooperstown.
You
don't get that. You don't get that by being a slouch, dude.
He wasn't a part of the steroid era. He was with one of the best teams ever assembled in the Braves. In the 90s,
those 90s Braves team.
Those 90s Braves, like that's an all-time team. I don't care who you are or where you're from. The 90s Braves were fucking unbelievable, top to bottom, rotation, lineup, you name it, they were great.
Yeah. Menaces to the Reds of the NL East in the 90s. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Andrew Jones will be in the Hall of Fame. His son, if he can have half the career his dad did, he'll be there.
It's just, I'm sorry. I just get so I hear his name and I just get so fucking fired up, dude.
Yeah, it pisses you off. It's like Pete Rose not being in.
Maybe it's worse. Such a snap, and it is worse because Scott. And here's the thing: I love Scott Rowland. I love what he did for Cincinnati. Andrew Jones is a better baseball player than Scott Rowland.
Agreed.
I don't know why that's even a conversation or a statement that I have to make.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah. Unbelievable, bro. But yeah, love Drew Jones. I think he's probably slated 2025?
2026 is what they've got him projected at. But
he just turned 18.
Yeah. I mean, he's young. He's so young. I mean, Andrew Jones is not that much removed. I mean, we watched a good majority of Andrew Jones's career.
We did.
And the fact that we're now sitting here talking about his son being drafted and coming up here in a couple of years just makes me feel like just an old person.
Same with Matt Holliday's son. Jackson Holliday was the number 1 pick in the draft this year. We watched Matt Holliday's entire career. Seriously.
We sure did.
We saw him come up with Colorado and make it all the way through. So, yuck.
Yeah, but no, Drew Jones, loved watching his dad. Can't wait to see what he's going to do.
Love it, dude. All right, my last guy's a pitcher. Obviously, you know I'm a pitcher guy. I went 3 pitchers,
You
2
were a little
position
heavy.
players. But this was my homage to Aaron Mailing as well, Aaron. If you've made it through to the end of this podcast, this pick's for you. It's Daniel Espino from the Cleveland Guardians.
You got a hell of a guy to watch, that's for sure.
I think he'll probably start. I don't know what his time frame is. He's getting through some injuries. I can't remember off the top of my head what the injuries are, but I don't know what his time frame is. I'm hoping that he makes it to Columbus, so we can go watch him.
Yeah, we'll go watch the Clippers game for sure.
Yeah, I'm really that's the homer in me now living in Columbus is I want to see this guy pitch really bad. Right now he's in Akron. I'm not willing to make a 3-hour drive for minor league baseball, but I am willing to make a 10-minute drive down the street to go watch him play at Huntington Park against anybody and him pitch.
If you ever in the Columbus area, go catch a Clippers game regardless of who's playing. It's a good ass time,
dude. It's a beautiful stadium. I got the opportunity to play at it before I finished my baseball career, and it sits very high on the list for me for nicest places that I got the opportunity to play in. But Espino is 100 to 103 as a starter. I just want to say those numbers one more time. He sits between 100 to 103 miles an hour as a starter. In 2021, obviously I said he had an injury, missed all of 2022. He pitched 91 innings and he had 152 strikeouts.
I mean, what do you want me to say to that? That's incredible.
Incredible. So I think the unique thing about Espino, I think that's going to make him an ace really for the Guardians if he stays with Cleveland, coupled with Tristan McKenzie, I think, is that he's a dual slider pitcher. So what I mean by that is that he has 2 separate sliders that he throws from different arm slots that have different velocities and different spin rate.
Could you imagine being that good at anything?
I don't know. Well, can you imagine trying to hit? So a guy pumps in a 101 mile an hour fastball the first pitch, and then he throws a 94 mile an hour slider that crosses over the inside of the plate, and then drops an 85 mile an hour slider from a 20-degree less arm slot. I think the thing that makes because I've always been interested in the guys that do, I'm sure you remember Bronson Arroyo had the sidearm, or he called it a submarine sweeping curve. It was a sidearm curveball that he would kind of slip in.
He's like the old dude from Major League who had the windmills and everything on him. He didn't blow you away with speed, but he was crafty. Yeah.
So I think the interesting thing about that is that when you have that different arm slot as a pitcher, as a hitter, you know exactly what's coming, right? But you're so confident in that pitch that you're still going to throw it anyway. That's the thing that I like about Espino, is that tells me that he has confidence in at least 3 of his pitches. He also throws a very similar to like a Vulcan change to what Eric Gagne used to throw. And, Eric Gagne, obviously one of the best closers of the early 2000s, that was his out pitch, that Vulcan change. It's a different approach to basically a flat change up. It's just kind of changing where the ball kind of falls into your hands and your finger location. And then he also throws a 74 mile an hour curveball. Unbelievable, dude.
I mean, as a hitter, like what are you? God,
your approach is that you
do so much homework.
You have to hit the fastball. That's it. That's
got
got to be your
when
approach.
You get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you miss it, good luck.
Yeah, because I don't know what else you do, because I don't know if, as a hitter, even if he changes that arm angle and you're expecting the pitch, I don't even know if you can hit it. His spin rate, I don't remember the exact number. I read it earlier today. He had a spin rate on that sidearm slide, or the sweeping slider, that was like 113 rotations per minute, or per second. Sorry.
I was gonna say per minute. That's like almost like
that's an ephus. That's an ephus. Sorry, per second. The average slider is around like 91 to 96 rotations per second, somewhere in that ballpark.
I just don't understand how they get that much torque on it, like that action where it's just like,
dude. It's so there's as someone who worked really hard on mechanics because I had to, because I just didn't have all of the intangibles to make the tangibles better. A lot of it, dude, just comes from a lot of it's just natural strength, and then it's body comprehension, man. Like if you allow yourself, and this is going to sound kind of hippie when I explain this, but if you allow yourself to be composed with yourself, meaning like if you allow yourself to understand what you're doing on the mound and why your body's moving on the mound the way it does, once you couple that with having the right mechanics and understanding, the best arm slot, or where, kind of the way the ball falls in your hand. If you just have the natural ability to throw hard and you can have an out pitch, you're going to be successful for several years in your lifetime. A lot of people, and myself included, something I always struggled with is just being able to kind of like get body and mind together. And I prided myself for a long time on being super mechanically sound, because that was my way for me to be the most effective, because I had to have my arm at a certain angle, and I had to have the way I positioned myself on the rubber to be right, because that's how I could throw strikes and time out a hitter. So
sure.
A lot of these guys, you watch a guy like Espino when he battles on the mound, dude, he just has a very relaxed approach as a pitcher, but he does it at a kind of a little bit of a higher tick than the average starting pitcher does. He doesn't spend a lot of time off the rubber. He's a big ball in, ball back on the rubber, get the ball out again kind of guy. But it just seems so comfortable. And like you watch some guys when they're pitching, and I don't know, like I watched, when the U.S. played Venezuela, and I watched, we watched Daniel Bard kind of self-implode in that game. His body language was so bad, and you could just tell that he just didn't have mind and body just weren't communicating. And it's really hard when you get to that point too, because there's certain times where you just don't have it, and you have to accept that you don't have it, and you have to admit defeat. And Espino just doesn't look like he has that within him when he pitches. He just always looks like that he is mentally and physically in control of his game. So those are just like the X factor things that you watch with these guys. I highly suggest, if anybody listening, if you get the opportunity to watch a guy like Tristan McKenzie pitch this year, watch his body language as he pitches. He never changes emotion, really. He's always very, very well at staying inside of his mind and not projecting it. And I think that there's something to that, right? Like I think there's something to a guy that's able to maintain composure, and even through a lot of the adversity that pitchers have during a game, because a walk is adversity, right? You're putting a runner on base unintentionally. So I love the way Tristan McKenzie does it, and Espino does it the same way. And I don't know if that's a Guardians thing, that's how they're teaching these young guys how to command. But if that's the case, then I want to talk to who the director of pitching for the Guardians and talent development, because I want to ask them. I got 13 to 15 questions to ask that person, but I just like it a lot, dude. I watched and listened. I listened to somebody on the MLB network talk about him, and the one thing that they said about him that stood out to me was like, this guy just doesn't play. And I think that when you kind of, it's such a general statement, but like as a pitcher, there's just something to that.
Right.
If your demeanor's good and you don't fuck around, like you are very hard to hit. Because when you take control,
and by this guy doesn't play, I mean this guy doesn't fuck around.
Right.
Is what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, and to have the right body language to couple that, dude, it's just so hard as a hitter too to just get in that groove. Jacob deGrom is a great example of that too. Jacob deGrom does an exceptional job of being almost stoic as a pitcher.
A robot.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, you see a lot of guys. There's a lot of good pitchers out there that are super emotional. I don't want to take it away from them. That's, for some people, that's a part of their skill set, is being an emotional pitcher. But I like guys like deGrom and Espino, guys that get out there and just fucking blue collar it, and they'll give you 6 to 7 innings, and you're probably not going to be losing, right? You know what I mean? Like, and maybe it's tied because it's 0-0, or maybe you're losing by 1 because they gave up a solo home run to somebody. So, that's the kind of stuff, at least from like, as I'm watching a game too, or watching a guy pitch, that's the kind of stuff that I look at, is just their in-game character, if you will.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's nothing more intimidating as a hitter than to walk up there and trying to stare the pitcher down and get a feel for him, and there's nothing there. It's like playing poker.
Yeah, Nolan Ryan was great at it.
Yeah, it's like playing poker. If you can't get a read on somebody, it makes it that much harder for you to make the right decision. Yep. And as a hitter, you have to make the right decisions, and you have very little time to do so.
Yeah.
So, no, that's a great point, man. That's a great point. I love your lineup, though, man. I figured it'd be a little pitching heavy. That's kind of why I went a little bit more position players. But I wanted to give my credit due to the pitching as well. There's a lot of good young talent, a lot of good young arms coming up, man. It's going to be exciting to watch. And, I don't know if it was just the World Baseball Classic happened a couple weeks ago. I know you mentioned it. And it's just like this whole build up to this season has just been, the anticipation is now like, I'm here. I'm ready to fucking rock and roll.
Yep. Yeah, dude, it's cool. I think you're right. I think the World Baseball Classic lights the fire a little bit, because it gives you, you're rooting for a country, right? And you get to, like, we're never going to probably cheer for Trey Turner, right?
We certainly did in the last couple of weeks.
Remember, I said it on our podcast a couple weeks ago. That dude is an MVP. He is such a good talent, man. I think that he's not a super vocal guy, and he showed a ton of emotion when he hit that grand slam, and he fucking flexed into the dugout and just fucking screamed as loud as he could when he hit it, dude. Like, I mean, I was doing the same thing in the living room.
Yeah, I mean, you can't.
Like, how do you not react that way?
Like, I don't know if it's just these guys putting on the country's colors and the name, but man, like, I feel like we got a different version of all these guys.
Yeah,
and it was for the better.
It was a lot of fun, man. I even like a guy like Lance Lynn, who's kind of a bump on a log. Yeah, to watch how much pride he and to see how much pride he took in starting and and pitching for the country. And he did a podcast right after that game, and they won. Yeah, and
I heard it.
He was like, dude, I wanted to pitch the next game. I wanted to pitch in the championship. I was begging the White Sox to let me pitch in the championship. And that's another obstacle that these guys had to kind of go through too, is that, the organizations were dictating if they could pitch again or throw again or whatever. And Lance Lynn was like, please let me do this. And, I don't remember who the podcast was with, but like, yeah, we heard Shohei's going to close out the championship. And he said, well, fuck, if Shohei's doing it, I want to do it. And like, I think you're right. There's just anytime you're representing something so grand, right? Like, you're representing a whole entire country. Like, I think that instinctually, if you have that dog mentality, you want to give it 130, right? You're not out there to fuck around.
I'm giving the White Sox the bird and heading out there and playing it if my name is called. Like, right. I don't care. There's no rules at that point.
Right. And you're selected for that too, right? It's not like it was just like, oh, I guess Lance can pitch for USA. Like, he got picked. Mark DeRosa picked him. You were hand selected by the manager of the team representing your whole fucking country. Like, that's dope. It was cool, man. I like that perspective there. Like, it's cool. It was cool to see guys like super raw emotion. I mean, even Mike Trout was fucking getting hype, and he doesn't, dude. He's the same way. He's so stoic on the field, and I don't know if that's just because he's sick of losing and having these monster years and losing 95 to 100 games or what, but like, just to see him get so hyped up and watch all these guys who compete against each other all year long and fucking getting dugout clearing brawls against each other, just come to it was cool, man. I'm getting chills talking about it again.
Yeah, you got to see the kids come out and play the game at a high level again.
And these guys got to fucking be with Ken Griffey Jr. and watch Ken Griffey Jr. take batting practice. Yeah,
if I'm on that team, we could have lost 3 games. I got to see Ken Griffey Jr. take BP and absolutely yoke one. So, I mean, that's a dream come true in its own. And then obviously they got to the finals, man. Like, just
It was
what a
cool,
story.
man.
Even though they lost, man, I'm still excited about it, man. It was
Me too.
still a ton of fun to watch, and I am just chomping at the bit. Like this needs to be every 2 years, not every 4. But then if you do it every 2 years and it loses,
it loses the shimmer. It loses the shimmer. That's right.
It's got to be every 4. So I just need to be patient. I just don't want it. I don't want to be patient. But I mean, you got anything else you want to roll over? I know we hadn't planned on going this long, but we kind of got wrapped up, and it's been a ton of fun.
Dude, love it. This has been my I love baseball, dude. It's so great to get back in here and just let it fucking rip. And we're a week from today when we're doing this shit again, we're gonna have results of baseball games, and we're gonna get to talk a little bit about it. And we're going to continue covering some teams even as the season kind of enters in. Next week, we're going to cover the Tigers because nobody's covering the Tigers. And I want to give them credit where credit's due. I want to at least cover a team that matters to us, to the boys at Rally Tile Sports. So, yeah, man, I'm good. I don't have anything else. Chat, if you have anything else, drop it in the chat for us. We'll give you guys a couple extra minutes here. I'm sure we can kill a little bit of time. I'm going to check these college basketball scores real quick here. See what we got.
Yeah, did Michigan State end up winning? Because they were up last time I looked.
Kansas State won by 5 in overtime.
Oh, so we finally had a game going to OT. I think that's the first game in the tournament that's gone to OT.
I think you're right. And UConn is absolutely laying the wood on Arkansas, beating them by 23 with 6 minutes left, 77-54. We're talking about probably a 95-point night for UConn.
Yeah, that's not even close.
Miami
took care of business, man. They smashed. That was last week. Okay, they don't play. Hold on, sorry.
No. Yeah, so the last 2 games of the night after UConn Arkansas are Florida Atlantic taking on Tennessee, which I think we might see a 9 seed beat a 4 seed there. And then Gonzaga playing UCLA at 9:45, which I will watch 0 minutes of live. I'll probably watch that when I'm working tomorrow during the day. Catch that, get caught up on that game a little bit. But that'll be a good one too, man. I'm interested to see the outcome of the UConn Gonzaga game because obviously the Zags come in every tournament with the juice, and then they always seem to fumble the bag in the Sweet 16. So I'm excited to see.
We were talking about that last night.
Yeah, so excited to see what Mick Cronin can do. I'm super happy for him, man. Going from UC, taking on a program that was really dropped to him in shambles and turning it into a Sweet 16 team in just a year. Like, kudos to Mick Cronin. That dude's a fucking unbelievable coach.
Great coach. Yeah.
Great coach, man. I'm glad that we got to watch him, coach the boys and the Bearcat boys. And, he churned out some talent, man. Churned out some talent. I mean, it doesn't always translate, especially when you're playing in the Conference USA or the American Conference to, the NBA. But those are some good teams that Mick Cronin coached at UC. They're a lot of fun to watch, but.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the game I'm excited for is tomorrow night at 9:00, Princeton versus Creighton.
I know, man. So here's the funny thing about Princeton, why I think they're having so much success. These guys, and Creighton kind of similarly too, these guys have all been playing college basketball for like 5 or 6 years.
What have I always said?
Yeah,
Keep them together, build a team for 4 years, and you will have a team that can take on the fucking world.
Yep. I am a little disappointed. I don't know if I'm going to try my best to stay up for the Xavier Texas game. It's the last one tomorrow night at 9:45.
That's a tough
one. These dad eyes don't quite stay open like they used to. But
Tez, thank you for liking the video, sir. Welcome. We're just about to wrap up. You got anything you want us to touch on before we head out for the evening, sir?
Tez, we did. I will share with you, since you weren't in here. I did get to. I did boast quite a bit about a future St. Louis Cardinals player, Jordan Walker. So don't ever say I didn't do anything nice for the city of St. Louis, please.
Oh my! That was 98-93. Michigan State lost to Kansas State. Good. I hope you took the over in that game. Everybody should have taken the over because, I mean, even this one right here, 81-57, the over-under in that game was 138. It's at 138 right now with 4 minutes left. So,
dude, I like Kansas State too. Obviously, I watched them beat Kentucky on Sunday, which I wasn't super happy about. But I like, dude, the boys are dogs. Kansas State's got some dogs.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find him. I think his last name's Knoll. Yeah, Marquise Knoll. Just like a 5'6" point guard, and he's their best scorer. And the dude's lights out.
Oh yeah. Taz, no, don't worry about it, man. We're just happy you're in here, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Walker. I mean, what else is there to say?
Taz, I called. So just so I'll give you the synopsis of what I said because I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole again because I got really emotional about him. But he's a generational talent, and I firmly believe that. You're gonna have the opportunity to watch a guy that's going to be in the MVP running a lot, winning multiple MVPs. He's probably not going to be a Gold Glove guy, but plenty of Silver Sluggers. I hope that we get the opportunity to watch him in a home run derby in the next couple of years. I think that would be a lot of fun because that dude can really hit some taters. So
I can't imagine he wouldn't be, man. Yeah,
I would think
the MLB
so.
is much different than the NBA in the fact that you'll get the young guys in there swinging the stick in the home run derby as opposed to getting everybody in the NBA just scared to do a dunk contest. That would make it great. You know, which sucks. But
it does suck, man. It seems very unlike Adam Silver too.
I like Adam Silver as a commissioner. I think that's the biggest travesty that he's done as far as like their extracurriculars is just not boasted that dunk contest more because there's so many dudes in today's game that can just jump out of the gym, man.
I know, and I don't get it either. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I wish I had an answer for that. It's interesting, man, because I'm looking at the Cardinals depth chart, right? I'm trying to dig in here on where Jordan Walker is going to play. Their starting right fielder is Lars Nootbaar, who also
had a very good WBC.
He did, representing Japan, which I thought was pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Mother was born in Japan, so he got the opportunity to represent the country. Maybe they can throw him at DH. I don't know. I mean, I think you could even probably put Tyler O'Neill at DH and throw Nootbaar in left field and let Jordan Walker play right. But you got that guy's. I'm sure the Cardinals will figure out a way to get him in the lineup 160 times a year. I don't think that'll be a question at hand. But man, they got fucking Nolan Gorman too. Good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks to be in the NL Central and not across.
Go away.
It kind of is what it is at this point. You know, we're used to it.
Did you see Waino got hurt in the World Baseball Classic too? He's going to start the year on the IL.
I mean, that's okay. It's there were a couple big notable injuries like we had mentioned before, but worth it.
Yeah.
All in all, worth it.
Yeah. I'm sure Nolan Arenado's okay. I never heard what the actual outcome of what it was for him. Yeah, because I know he got hit by a pitch in his hand. I don't think I saw that it was broken or anything or nothing.
Same thing with Altuve. I know Altuve.
He had to have surgery.
Yeah. So he'll be out.
So he's out for 2 months at the bare minimum is what I read. Edwin Diaz got hurt too in the World Baseball Classic. He'll be out for the season.
Mets fans were not pleased.
Oh my God! I'm going to say this, and there's no fucking Mets fans that watch us. I don't give a shit. That's the best team to have that happen to right now to me. Cohen's fucking spending $1 billion to put this team on the field, fully taking advantage of. I mean, he's an owner of a franchise. He can do whatever he wants, but. Good, right? I hope they don't make. I hope they don't make the playoffs. I'm serious. I hope they don't make the playoffs.
I love it.
Good, because these teams that all these monster teams that put these $1 billion rosters together, they don't need to be out. They don't need to be making the playoffs every year. It's bullshit. $80 million or $87 million on Verlander and Scherzer this year, and I pray to God that both of them don't make the playoffs. They've already gotten rings; they don't need to do anymore.
It's just sad that he's spent essentially more money on two players than the entire Reds roster is comprised of. So
it is more. It is more.
Yeah,
and the Pirates and the Guardians. And the Royals, I believe. Lindor, Scherzer, and Verlander. Those three make more than those four. They pay those guys more than four organizations pay their entire 26-man roster. Just a perspective.
That is perspective. Yes, that is 100% perspective. And it was like, was it the Rays or the Marlins, whoever it was a couple years ago, where it's like Verlander or one of them was like he was making more than the entire team that he was going up against.
Yeah, it was when Houston played.
It was Tampa or Miami. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Tampa.
I think it was Tampa. They played him in a regular season game. And his salary for one season was more than everybody on the pitching staff. Yeah. Combined. 14 pitchers. And then I think it ended up being like 17 total rostered players or something like that, or 18 total rostered players.
Stupid.
Tez, there's a lot of teams that would have – I've been boosted Trey Turner since we started this shit back up. I hate that – it sucks that he went to Philadelphia. I mean, it's not going to impact you guys much because I just assume for the next at least 4 years the Cardinals will win the NL Central because I think the Cubs are a couple years away from putting it back together again. But you're gonna have to face the Phillies probably every year for the next 2 or 3 years too.
Yeah,
and Trey Turner
are going to be tough, man.
Yeah, Trey Turner's an MVP. But they did lose. I guess Rhys Hoskins got hurt today, so I don't know. That impacts them some. So I don't know who they're going to play at first base. But
it's good that it happened early.
Yeah.
It's not like a mid to late season injury that's going to go into the playoffs. So, another 100 years for the scrubs.
I agree with you on that. They could never win another World Series ever again in my lifetime, and I wouldn't lose any sleep over that.
Yeah, I just want the Reds to win one before they do, which I don't know if that'll happen. But
I don't know if that'll happen either. All right, man. Is that a podcast?
I think that's a wrap. Tez, thank you for coming in hot here at the end, man. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother. Hope you're staying safe out there, man.
Absolutely. If you want to listen to the entire show, since you just got in here, it will be live tomorrow morning. At least by noon, Spotify, Apple Music, Podbean. Is there another one?
Google Podcast.
Google Podcast. Yeah. So it'll be live on all of those platforms. Tez, you have a wonderful night. Todd, thank you, sir.
Adios.
Peace.